Hello everyone, my name is Rianna Doyle and I'm the Director of Evangelization and Youth Ministry here at Christ the King Catholic Church. Thank you so much for tuning into this month's episode of our Eucharistic Revival video series. Today I'm so excited to talk to you about how the Eucharist sustains us from this life on earth into life in heaven. When we think of our favorite athletes, football players, swimmers, gymnasts, and the like, we think about their record-breaking touchdowns or their fast times, but we don't often think about what they eat. I think we would all agree, however, that a good diet is crucial to being a good athlete, or even simply being physically fit. If you were to ask Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympic athlete of all time, about his diet as a professional athlete, he would tell you that during his average day, he consumed 8,000 to 10,000 calories. This is about 4 times as much as the average adult male. The amount of muscle in his body and the amount of calories he was burning through his intense athletic swimming training was extraordinary and required an extraordinary diet to be sustained. Michael Phelps, obviously, isn't just an ordinary athlete striving for physical fitness. He goes above and beyond to turn his body into the best vessel possible for his sport, changing the way he lives his life to be the best swimmer in the world. If we all wanted to become award-winning Olympic athletes, we would look to Michael Phelps and his example of what it takes to be that kind of athlete. Now, you may be thinking, Rianna, I'm not an athlete. This is amazing, but what does it have to do with me? Well, spiritual fitness, similarly, requires an extraordinary diet to be sustained. To be the most spiritually fit you can be, you need a diet to sustain the lifestyle this requires, the lifestyle of being spiritually fit. You also need to look to the best example of what it means to be human, the best example of what it means to follow the will of God. As Catholics, we find this extraordinary diet in the Eucharist and this extraordinary example in Jesus Christ. In John 6, verses 55 through 58, Jesus says to those listening in the synagogue, "For my flesh is true food and my blood is true drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in him. Just as the living Father sent me, and I have life because of the Father, so also the one who feeds on me will have life because of me. This is the bread that came down from heaven. Unlike your ancestors who ate and still died, whoever eats this bread will live forever." Let's focus on that last verse. Unlike your ancestors who ate and still died, whoever eats this bread will live forever. What is Jesus talking about when he references our ancestors? Well, in the book of Exodus in the Old Testament, as the Israelites flee Egypt and head toward the Promised Land, the people are hungry. So God sends down manna, bread, for them to eat and be satisfied. However, as Jesus mentioned, this was just ordinary bread that kept them from physically starving. What Jesus is preaching is that eating of his body is fundamentally different. The bread that Jesus is talking about, his very body, blood, soul, and divinity poured out to us in the form of bread, is extraordinary. It is what sustains us through this life, allowing us to remain in him during our time on earth and live forever with him when we go to heaven. Jesus is very particular about his language during the Last Supper with his disciples, saying that the bread he breaks for us is his body, and the wine that we drink is his blood. We believe as Catholics that this is not just symbolic language, but an invitation to receive him physically into our bodies and to go out into the world to be the body of Christ. The Eucharist is the extraordinary diet that sustains us through our time on earth into life in heaven. The opportunity to receive the Eucharist every Sunday is an incredible outpouring of love from God as he gives his own body to us as food for the journey. As we strive for spiritual fitness, let's journey towards Jesus in the Eucharist. Let's attend Mass as much as we can, at least on Sundays, and attend Eucharistic adoration as often as we are able, accepting this amazing gift God gives to us, his own self. As we receive Jesus in the Eucharist, may we remember that he also humbly receives us into his sustaining grace, bringing us from this life into life in heaven.